Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Quinn Anderson coming at you, aka Mr. Prez, aka Guy Quineri, Guy Fieri, the famous chef's little cousin. So today we're gonna be chefing up some scrambled eggs, a little how-to video for you guys. Come over here, here are the steps. Well, not the steps, but the different materials that you'll need. First thing you're gonna need is this plate to put your scrambled eggs once you're done. You're gonna need a spatula. So while you're cooking your scrambled eggs, to like kind of fold them over, mix them all up. This is your bowl to actually scramble the eggs itself. You got your fork, which you'll be using to scramble up those eggs. This is your knife. You're gonna be using the knife with this butter to select 1 tablespoon of butter. Then you got a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. You're gonna be using a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper when we're done for the final product. And then we got some eggs. I do have 12 eggs here, which is a full dozen. I only plan on using 2 for this specific how-to. So first thing for the how-to is to collect all your materials. Make sure you have them all ready to go, laid out, so it's gonna be easy for you to make. First step, once you have everything laid out, you're gonna take your knife and you make sure you get that 1 tablespoon of butter. Now, you could measure this out or you could kind of eyeball it depending on how good you are at it. Personally, from experience, I've been doing this for a while, so I think I can do 1 tablespoon pretty good on an eyeball. So I'm gonna do that 1 tablespoon. Another thing you're gonna need, which I forgot with the materials, is you're gonna need a pan to cook it with, and you're also gonna need a stove. Without the stove and the pan, you can't do it. So those are the 2 other things from the materials you're gonna need. But first step is gonna be to get your butter in there. Then second step is gonna be to turn on the stove. Now to get that stove started, we're just gonna turn it on really low. Really low, let the butter melt down slow and steady while we get the eggs ready over here. So we got the stove on, we got the butter in the pan. We're gonna take 2 eggs. Got 2 eggs right here. Now, next step is to crack the eggs into the bowl. It's very important when you crack the eggs into the bowl to make sure that you crack using this outside of the bowl, and make sure that none of that shell container gets into the bowl itself. So we're gonna do our first one right here. Little crack, no eggshell in there. Put this off to the side. We're gonna throw that out at the end. Don't want anything to keep with those. Second egg, same process. Make sure you don't get any of that eggshell in there. Very important, you don't want to be eating eggshell. Put that one off to the side. Next, you're gonna grab that fork. Next step, you're just gonna literally just mix that all up. Get it twirled up, so basically it just becomes like one liquid, so there's no yolk and egg white as 2 separate entities. It becomes one. Next, you see over here we got our butter melting down. You can twirl it around a little bit if you want, get it going. And now where it's actually going a little bit too slow for us, so we're gonna heat that up a little bit. Put that on like about 6, which is about like 75% power. So we got our eggs, we got our butter melting. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait for this butter to melt all the way down, so it basically covered the pan as a whole. One thing you can do, if your butter's taking a little bit too long to melt, you grab your rubber spatula and you're literally just gonna take it and just twirl that butter around in the pan. Make sure the butter gets spread out evenly. That way the egg will cook and not stick to the pan. We're gonna spread that butter out. Now your butter's spread out, so now you're ready for the next step. Next step's gonna be you take the bowl with the egg inside, and you're simply gonna dump it in there. Woo! Yeah, there we go. Now we're just gonna wait for a little bit. You can actually turn that heat up from about that 75 to like an 85, 95, which is a level 8 on most stoves. Gonna wait a little bit, just a little bit. You don't want to leave it too long because you don't want it to burn. But we're gonna wait a little bit for that. See this egg right here? This is a trade secret. Egg roll, like that? A little egg roll action. All right, so now we've waited a little bit. Now you're gonna take a rubber spatula. Make sure you grab with your non-dominant hand that the pan handle. That way, you don't actually hit it and get it all over you. Now with the rubber spatula, you're just kind of like gonna mix up the contents of this scrambled eggs. Just mix it up, and you'll realize that it's starting to form. That liquid's turning into a solid. That's just from the heat of the pan. Slowly gonna cook those scrambled eggs. Slow and steady, slow and steady. You wanna mix it around. Make sure that you spread out that egg so it can cook a little bit more efficiently for you. Get all that done. Scrambling up that egg. See, it's almost done here. Now the one thing you wanna make sure while this is getting to that almost complete phase is you wanna make sure that you have your plate ready as well as your salt and pepper so you can season your eggs as well as plate them. Now, at this point, we're nearing the end of the actual cooking egg cycle. So this is the point where you may question, well, maybe I want to do something a little different. Maybe I want some options. One of those options could be is to get some cheese, preferably like maybe American cheese, putting it on top of the egg, getting a little bit more flavor in there. Me personally, I'm going to shy away from that today. I know that is pretty popular. So now, once your eggs look pretty solid, you don't see any more liquid going on, you're going to take that stove, you're going to turn it off. That way nothing burns, you're not using up that stove power. You're just kind of in a good scenario. You're going to keep it going for a little bit more. Make sure that's a pure solid. Nothing too bad though, nothing fried. Don't want to get it brown, just that nice yellow color. So now we're at that point where we turn the stove off, got the pan going. We're going to take the egg that we have in the pan, and we're just going to, with the spatula, kind of just move it from in the pan onto the plate. It doesn't really matter how you plate it. Don't have to be fancy. It's all up to you. Once you got it on there, you can place your pan back, preferably not on the heat of the stove. Put your spatula on the side. All this will go to get washed afterwards. Then you're going to take your salt and your pepper. Now we're only asking for about a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper, which is pretty hard to like measure, but just try to do your best. Little pinch, little tiny pinch, nothing that much. You're just going to sprinkle that on there, a little Salt Bae like that. And then you're going to get your pepper over here. And maybe if you have a cranker pepper, you're just going to crank 3 times. If you had a pepper in a bowl like this, you would just pinch it. And that's it. If you wanted another option for you is if you want to get some bread, make it a sandwich, you could do that, or some bread on the side. Other than that, that's how you make scrambled eggs, and that's your how-to. Hope you guys use this recipe. Have a great day.